Hey everyone, how you doing today? My name's Kirsty and I am coming at you today with my reading wrap up for May. Now, I actually read a lot more books than this. These are just the physical books that I read. I actually had the best month I have ever had since I started YouTube, or it's my joint best month that I've ever had. I read 12 books, which is amazing, and unlike in the last time I read quite a lot of books where it was all graphic novels and manga, these were all actual novels with a couple of manga thrown in. But of those 12 books, that meant I read 3,114 pages, which was absolutely awesome. And I had a couple that I started and didn't finish. Can't remember off the top of my head what those books were, but I did have a couple. And yeah, I'm just going to do my usual. I'm going to start with my lowest rating going up to my highest rating. And the lowest, unfortunately, was an ARC that I was sent. I was on a book tour for Straight Expectations by Callum McSwiggan. Unfortunately, I only gave this 2 stars. I really didn't get on with this. I felt that the writing wasn't great. I liked some of the characters. I liked what the author was trying to do, but my biggest gripe, and I feel weird as a white person saying this, but I felt like some of the narratives and some of the discussions that the author was trying to include in the book didn't really fit, because a lot of the discussion was how the main character had white privilege, and I was expecting that character to go through a journey where he realised his privilege and was learning about it and became a better person because of it. And instead, it just ended up being all these different people telling him he had white privilege, and then nothing really came of it. And I also really didn't like that it felt that more emphasis was put on the characters of colour and their argument about him having the privilege than the actual white character himself who's being told it. And considering the author himself is white, I was a little bit like, is it really your place to be having that argument? And surely you should be writing from the perspective of the white person coming to accept and understand his white privilege, and especially being a gay white man. I don't know. And I've not really seen any people of colour reviewing this book to have their kind of opinion. But there was just a few things about this book that I just felt there was so many ideas and not really a lot happened. The plot felt a bit stagnant, and the biggest problem that I had with it is it kind of all felt pointless to me. I didn't really see what the actual point was in the character having this misdemeanor and misadventure. It wasn't for me. I didn't have a good time. But that was 2 stars and 4.57 on Corepile. Then in number 11, we have My Hero Academia Volume 3, now 23. Now you might be like, why is this so low when I love My Hero Academia? Honestly, this one just isn't my favourite. This wraps up the Class 1A going against Class 1B storyline, and also starts a storyline that focuses on the villains, and neither of those storylines are my favourite in the series, therefore it's not going to be my favourite in the manga. But it was interesting to get some extra bits that we don't get in the anime. So this one was still 3.5 stars, so it's not like it got a low rating by any means. Only one book got a 2-star rating this month. But it was still 3.5, 6.71, and currently is the lowest rated in the My Hero series. Then we have, also 3.5 stars, we have Kitty and the Midnight Hour. This is book 1 in the Kitty Norville series by Carrie Vaughan. She is a radio DJ who is also a werewolf, and she inadvertently ends up running her own talk show for the supernatural where they get to discuss their problems, and it becomes a bit of an international hit. And I started off reading this one. I gave it 3.5 stars. It had a couple of bits that were really sensitive for me because it had some sexual assault in here, and it did have a lot of a kind of a rapey vibe to it, which made me very, very uncomfortable. But by the end of the book, she'd broken out of that, and things in the rest of the series are not like that, I'm happy to say. So I thought it would be okay, I will give it a go, and I decided to continue the series, and I ended up reading the first 5 books in that month. I read the first 5 books in like 4 days, so it has helped me get out of a reading slump a little bit, and these are a really fast, easy to read urban paranormal urban series. This one got 3.5 and a 6.86. Then we have the second and final manga, which was Mao Volume 2. This was a gift from Ren. And following on from the first volume, I'm still struggling with the fact that this is basically just a rehashing of Inuyasha, which is by far the more superior series. I'm still interested enough that I want to see where it's going to go. I'm still intrigued by how these two characters, Mao and Nanoka, I'm still interested how they are linked to this demon. And I think in the next volume, that's when we're going to start to get a more bigger understanding of how they are linked. But yeah, I don't know if this is going to be a series that I complete. I just think that this author has done much better series back in like the 80s and 90s. Then we have a collection of Kitty books. So Kitty Norville book 2 comes in next, and this is Kitty goes to Washington, and we get some vampire politics in there. We get some her talking at a big international panel, and obviously I'm not going to talk much about what happened next because spoilers, but some big drama kicks off towards the end of the book that then sets things up for the entirety of the rest of the series. And it was just really good, and I liked that we got that bit of expansion, and I liked that we got a little bit more in depth from the vampire side of things. This one got 4 stars and 7.29. And then we have book 5 in the Kitty series, where she is in Las Vegas. And I will not be saying anything more about this because it is extremely spoilery for the series. But I really liked some of the relationships that are developed in here. I liked some of the characters. I just felt some of the storylines were a bit rushed, and what was covered in one book could have easily been done either in a slightly longer one book or even in 2. And I just felt like things were resolved a little bit too easily and a bit too conveniently and quickly for my liking. So that one got a 4 stars still because I had a great time with the atmosphere and everything was good. And I will say this isn't more of a closed door romance. It has suggestions about smut, but it isn't a full-on smut book. So if you do like books that have romance but don't necessarily go fully into the smut, these will be perfect as well, which is why I quite like them. So that one got 4 stars and was 7.57. Then we have Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller, which actually, the first time I read this, I gave it 3 stars. This time around, it got 4 stars. I really enjoyed the characters a lot more. I enjoyed the atmosphere a lot more. I giggled a lot more on this time. I just had a better time with it this time. And I was still annoyed a little bit by the writing. There's still far too many adverbs for my liking. And I still felt Alosa was a bit bratty at times. But I did enjoy her a lot more, and I'm now starting the sequel, and I'm really excited for it. I also felt that the romance in this book was a bit rubbish last time, and I'm still not overly invested in it, but it is better than I remember it being, so I am still enjoying it. So like I said, that one got 4 stars and 4.57. Then we had the No Shea by Beth O'Leary. This is the last of the 4 stars. It got a 7.95, and I just really liked how I didn't see any of the twists coming. Some people have said that they saw everything coming and nothing really surprised them. Personally, it really took me by surprise. I did not expect some of the stuff in this, and I just had a really great time. I thought all of the characters were very unique, very distinctive, had very clear perspectives. There were a couple of the characters that I really didn't care about, but there was one pairing and one character in particular I absolutely loved. And Beth O'Leary, as always, had fantastic ways of writing dialogue and characters. So I've gone from being a bit weary of her to she's back up there with being an author I love. So I've just got one more book of hers to try now to see if she stays in there. Then we have Kitty book 4, which is Kitty and the Silver Bullet, where she returns to Colorado and faces off against her ex-alpha and his pack. Fantastic. I loved it. The only thing that stopped it from getting a 5 star is again that whole thing where it just seems to resolve things a little bit too quickly, a little bit too conveniently, and I just felt a little bit more could have been done. The book could have done with an extra 30 or 40 pages to flesh that out and really get into it. And the climax wasn't as brilliant as I expected it to be. That one got 8.14 and 4.5. Then we have Kitty Takes a Holiday, which was the third book, and this is where things really kicked off with a specific relationship with Kitty and somebody else, and I was really excited for it, and it did not disappoint, and it was fantastic. There was a little bit of a love triangle in there that kind of annoyed me, but I just thought it was brilliant, and there was a lot of angst, there was a lot of emotion in there, and I felt it was, of all of the books so far, it was the best paced, had the best characters, had the best relationships, and was my favourite of the series so far. And that one got 4.5 stars and was 8.29. Second place, we have Fence Rivals by C.S. Pacat. This is the fifth and currently the final volume. No, there's one more volume to go. Series in the Fence series. I just loved the atmosphere. It was fantastic seeing the development of the characters. We're finally starting to get a little bit more of a in-depth relationship with Nick and Seiji, and I just felt that the dynamics with the team and the way that they were all bonding and going to their first tournament together and watching them fighting together as a team, I thought it was really well done. I loved all the dynamics, and I loved the fact that Harvard is finally starting to show that maybe he has slightly more feelings for a certain somebody than he's been letting on, and it was just so good. And it just dealt with all of those complex emotions in a fantastic way, and I loved it. And then finally, in first place, my book of the month that I absolutely adored, it blew me away, was Beach Read by Emily Henry. Did not expect this to have the emotional impact on me that it did, not only because the character ended up having my birthday, but she also has a lot of the same thoughts and feelings as me, especially around Luke coming out of a relationship that ended badly, the feeling of losing a parent very suddenly and having the grief and finding out secrets about them that you didn't know and feeling betrayed. There was just so much in this book that I absolutely loved, and I felt the characters were well written, the romance felt believable and honest and raw, and everything was just so well done. And I just cannot gush enough about this book. Please go read it. And also, the main characters are both authors, and I loved reading about their different perspectives on how they write and how they approach their projects and the little challenge that they set each other. It was just so good. That got 5 stars and was 9.29 on the system. Overall, I would say it was a fantastic month. I did not expect to read that many books. I didn't expect the Kitty Norville series to just kind of explode into my Kindle and maybe like hooked on it for a week. And I'm definitely going to keep going with it and continue with it. I'm really excited to try more of Emily Henry's work now, and although I'm worried that I've kind of picked the best first and I'm not going to be disappointed, but I really enjoyed it, and I feel really good going into June and getting on with more reading there for the Adventure-a-thon. And it was a really good month. I had, like I said, only one book was 2 stars, everything else was 3 and above. And the majority of the books were 4 and 4.5s. It was a great month, and I remembered just how much I actually do love paranormal books. So yeah, I think that's going to end up being my biggest genre this year because I've read a lot. Let me know in the comments how you got on in your reading for the month, and let me know what your favourite book for May was. I hope you're all good. I hope you're staying safe, and until next time, bye!